Yo, what's up everybody? Stand up here, fresh out of the shower. Today we're going to be talking about UFC 282. Blachowicz versus Magomed Ankalaev. Forgot his name right there. But yeah, obviously it should have been Glover versus Jiri, but stuff didn't materialize. Jiri got injured. Glover got asked to fight Magomed Ankalaev on short notice. He said no. He would want to fight Blachowicz though, but he said no to Ankalaev. He wanted it in Brazil in January, so he would have a few more weeks to prepare because Ankalaev is a much different fighter, a good striker with good wrestling as well, so a very different approach needed for him. So I understand. Hopefully he does get the shot next. I don't know if he will. He probably will, but you never know with the UFC, so let's just get into it. Let's get into the main event. Jan Blachowicz versus Magomed Ankalaev. This is for the light heavyweight championship. A veteran against a up-and-comer, although the up-and-comer is pretty much a veteran as well, 18-1. The only loss is to the Paul Craig. I hope I did that accent right. If not, then I'm embarrassing myself, but fuck it. He's fighting Jan Blachowicz, who's almost 40. 29-9, 4-1 in his last 5. Lost to Glover Teixeira, got dominated in that fight. This is a good fight in my opinion. 6'2" against 6'3", but he's got the reach advantage. Two pretty good strikers, with Ankalaev being a good wrestler as well, and I feel like that will get a win here for him. I'm going with Ankalaev for sure. I am very confident in this fight, to be honest, because Blachowicz is a good striker, but he isn't a guy that can knock out everyone. Especially not Ankalaev, who is a good striker as well, very defensively sound, and he got knocked down, not really knocked down, but he got hit by Thiago Santos. He fell. I don't know if it was a knockdown, kind of looked like it, but Ankalaev is good. He's defensively sound. He's a good striker. He has knockout power, and he is a great grappler as well. So not only wrestling, but a good grappler as well. So I see him just using the grappling to beat Jan Blachowicz. It's a 5-round fight, which does give Jan Blachowicz some advantages, in my opinion, because he's a guy that has a lot of experience with 5-round fights. But Magomed Ankalaev, he could profit from this as well, because he is kind of a slow starter. He might need some time to maybe get the takedowns or get into his flow. So don't get me wrong, it's not that Jan Blachowicz doesn't have a chance, but I feel like Magomed Ankalaev is the better striker. He is the guy with the better wrestling and grappling as well, and I'm pretty sure he's bigger too, because Jan Blachowicz, he's a small light heavyweight, but he's huge or some. He isn't huge. He's 6'2". He has long arms, but I feel like Magomed Ankalaev is a little bigger. He is on a, I think, 7 or 8 win streak right now. I'm pretty sure he lost his debut against against Paul Craig, but the rest of them he did win. That's it. Let's see what the fans think. 72 to 28%. I'd have to agree with that. So 2 out of 3 fans think that Ankalaev will win, and I agree. I don't see a finish happening here. I'm going with a decision for Ankalaev, but to be honest, I wouldn't be that surprised if Ankalaev got a finish, because Jan Blachowicz, when he does get taken down, he kind of wilts. So he might just, I wouldn't say give up, but, give up. Next up, we got Paddy Pimblett versus Jared Gordon. The good guy who tried to pick up his dog's sloppy shit. Almost 20 years of age. First a veteran in Jared Gordon, who's 34 already. This is a tough fight for Paddy Pimblett, in my opinion, because Paddy, he's an alright striker, but he's more like the BJJ guy, a grappler. The wrestling isn't amazing either. We saw him kind of get out wrestled, to be honest, by Jordan Levitt almost 4 months ago, which you don't like to see, because Jordan Levitt isn't a good wrestler. And it was kind of a hard fight for Paddy, because he was losing the first round, and then the second round he came in with a knee, knocked him down and got a choke. But besides that, he didn't have like big moments in that fight. Jordan Levitt went straight for the takedowns, and got a few. Paddy got back up, but I mean, he wasn't winning the grappling moments, until he got a knockdown. So not a good look for Paddy, because Jared Gordon, he's a pretty good striker. He's more of an all-round guy, but we saw in his second to last fight against Grant Dawson, he got dominated on the ground and then choked in the third. But besides that, he beat Leonardo Santos, who's a good grappler as well. Kept the fight on the feet and just beat him up from there. It went to a decision, but yeah, Jared Gordon was dominating that fight, pretty sure, if I remember correctly, from the second round. So 30-27, I'm pretty sure that was. But Leonardo Santos is old. He isn't the same guy he used to be when he beat Kevin Lee, for example. It's just not the same. Jared Gordon, he's a big guy for lightweight. I'd say he's pretty small, to be honest. He's 5'9". The reach is like 68. That's bad, bro. 68-inch reach for lightweight is bad. Now Paddy's 5'10", 73-inch reach. So I feel like he isn't the better striker, but he's a striker with more power. He's the more dangerous striker, and I feel like in moments he will be the guy beating Jared Gordon, but like over the 5 minutes, I feel like Jared Gordon would get the better of Paddy. So I feel like Paddy Pimblett has to grapple here, which he will be successful in, because Jared Gordon doesn't have good takedown defense. He has good grappling defense, but Paddy Pimblett will just be able to ride him out for 3 rounds for 50 minutes and get a decision win like that. Maybe a rear naked choke, because Paddy is pretty good with those. Let's see, he got one against Jordan Levitt, who had only one arm to defend. Got one against Vargas, and the KO over Luigi Vendramini. But you know what? I'm going with a rear naked choke, because from what I've seen, Paddy is pretty good with those chokes. So, and Jared Gordon does give up his back like pretty much every time. He did it against Joe Selecki, in which he won, but he did the same against Grant Dawson, and he paid for it. So, and I feel like Paddy Pimblett might be a better submission grappler than was named Grant Dawson. So I'm going with a second round rear naked choke for Paddy Pimblett. Let's see what the fans say. 88% for Pimblett, 12% for Gordon. I do not quite agree with that, because 88 is a bit much. I'd say 70-30% or 75, but 88 it's too much in my opinion. So next up, we got Santiago Ponzinibbio versus Robbie Lawler. I don't know if you guys have seen it, but you probably have. Canelo being mad at Messi, and then Santiago Ponzinibbio defending Messi, saying that if he tries to do something, he'll beat his ass, because MMA fighters are better than boxers, and that's a fact. If you're a boxing fan, you're watching this, MMA is superior. Boxing is good too, but MMA is superior. But let's get into this fight. Two veterans, one's almost 41, one's just turned 36. Not the best fight on us, especially for Robbie Lawler, who's only beat Nick Diaz in his last sorry. Okay, I'm good. Who's only beat Nick Diaz in his last 5 fights. He lost to Brian Barbrain in his last fight, who Brian is fighting today, by the way. I'm recording this a week in advance. So, but Brian is fighting today against RDA. But let's see. Ponzinibbio, before his injuries, he fought Neil Magny, absolutely slept him. He slept him, but like before that, he was giving out a lot of leg kicks and stuff like that. He was doing great. Then Li Jingliang got KO'd. Miguel Baeza, great fight. He beat him by decision. Lost to Jeff Neal in a split decision, very close. I had it for Ponzinibbio, but and then another split decision against Michel Pereira. Pretty sure I got that one for Ponzinibbio as well. But he's making it close against good guys, especially Jeff Neal. He showed a good chin, he showed good volume, and he fought well. He's a big guy for welterweight. He is 6 foot, while Robbie Lawler is 5'11". He does have the reach advantage though, which is fine, but nothing too crazy. Robbie Lawler is too old though. At this point, I feel like Ponzinibbio, if he is the same guy that fought Michel Pereira and Geoff Neal, I feel like he should be able to dominate Robbie Lawler and just get him out of there in the first or second round. Because if Brian Barberena is able to get you out of there, Ponzinibbio will murder you, man. If it's the same Ponzinibbio from the last 2, maybe 3 fights, I know this Ponzinibbio isn't the same from before the injury, but it's still good. He isn't bad. I feel like he would be able to beat Robbie Lawler. I'm sad to say this, Robbie Lawler just isn't the same. He should retire, in my opinion, because losing so many fights, man, against Ben Askren, against Colby Covington, against Neil Magny, he got dominated by Neil Magny, which, in retrospect doesn't look too amazing. Beat Nick Diaz, not a good fight, and then got beat by Brian Barberena by TKO. Brian isn't a guy who TKOs people. He has a lot of volume, but not big power or some shit. So it's a bad look for Robbie, man. And let's see what the fans are thinking. Yeah, they agree with me. 90% is going with Ponzinibbio by KO, like I said. So yeah, sad fight, but so that's the game. And we got Darren Till versus Dricus du Plessis. Now this is a good fight, guys. 2 up-and-coming guys. 2 guys that are hungry for a win. 2 guys under 30 as well. Darren Till's almost 30. Dricus du Plessis is 29. Man, Darren Till, I had no idea he was 1-4 in his last 5, and his 5th last fight was 4 years ago against Tyron Woodley. Man, what? That's crazy. His last fight against Derek Brunson, where he got dominated. Before that, he got beat by Robert Whitaker by a close decision. Kevin Gastelum, close decision, got KO'd by Masvidal. I mean, this guy fights once a year, the last 3 years, which is sad to see. We've seen him turn around, with Tiger Muay Thai and Khamzat Chimaev and shit. So he's been doing better, but I don't know, man. I'm still not really trusting it, because Dricus du Plessis is a good striker. He's a good grappler as well. He's a good finisher. He finished Lutherbach. He submitted Laser. He beat Marcus Perez by KO. That was some he was getting beat in the first 2 minutes, because probably because it was his debut, and just landed one shot and was over for Marcus Perez. Beat Trevin Giles also by KO, and beat Brett Tavares 4 months ago by decision. And in the fight, Brett Tavares really showed a good chin, because Dricus was hitting him with some bombs, man. But I feel like Darren Till, if it's the same Darren Till that fought Robert Whitaker, he should be able to outstrike Dricus du Plessis for sure. Maybe even knock him down once or twice, because he has some power, man. When he lunges in with the elbow or a right or a left hand, he's fast and he's powerful, man. So he should be able to outstrike Dricus, but I don't know what version of Darren Till we'll get. I mean, we see him training and being motivated and shit, but we kind of still don't know, because he's lost 2 in a row, got 1 win, and lost 2 in a row before that as well. He was undefeated before that as well, so you never know how that works, because he was crazy confident in his fights. I don't know if you guys remember, but before the fight with Tyron Woodley, he was so confident. It was crazy. He was I'm the best in the world. I beat everyone. I go up to middleweight. I go up to light heavyweight. He was talking some crazy shit. And now I don't know. It's just not the same. It doesn't hit the same anymore. And I don't know what that's exactly about. Hopefully he's fixed those issues. And I think that if he is the same guy that fought Whitaker, he should be able to beat Dricus du Plessis. But it's hard, man, because Dricus is also a good grappler as well. He's got a lot of submissions on his name too, like we see here. He got a guillotine, and I'm pretty sure he got a few guillotines. So he isn't only a striker with a big power, he's also a good grappler, and I feel like he might implement it against Darren Till and beat him that way. And in the striking, I feel like Till is a better fighter, but on the ground, I'm not sure. I'm going to go slightly with Dricus du Plessis, but I wouldn't be surprised if Darren Till wins, because if it's a good version of Darren Till, he'll win. But if it's like the same version that showed up against Derek Bronson, he'll probably lose his fight. So no, you know what? I'm trusting Darren Till on this one. I feel like he turned his life around, like got some more motivation, and he's going to beat Dricus du Plessis. He's also been training a lot with Khamzat and stuff, so the grappling, the wrestling should be better as well. So I'm going with Darren Till. I'm going with I'm going with a knockout in the 3rd round from Darren Till, because he's deadly, man. When he's on, he's on. So I'm going with a knockout in the 3rd round for Darren Till. Let's see what the fans think. Yeah, not a lot of people have a lot of faith in Darren Till. 68% are going with du Plessis. Let's see. 10% by submission. I feel like if Dricus beats Darren Till, the chance is bigger that he wins by submission. I'd say like 30-40%, because he's a good submission grappler as well. So, and if he wins, he'll probably grapple. Then we have Bryce Mitchell versus Ilia Topuria. Now this fight is fucking amazing, man. This might be the fight I'm most excited about. Bryce Mitchell, Thug Nasty versus Ilia El Matador Topuria, 2 undefeated guys. Bryce Mitchell did lose on the Ultimate Fighter, but they don't count that. So he's 15-0 against Ilia Topuria, who's 12-0. 2 guys under the age of 30. Ilia's almost 26, so a real young guy, while Bryce Mitchell just turned 28. Let's see. Let's look at our wins here. Edson Barboza, Andre Fili, Charles Rosa, Matt Sells, and Bobby Moffett. Like the last two wins are good. Andre Fili is a pretty good wrestler, and he got like dominated by Bryce Mitchell most of the fight in the wrestling department. So, and Edson Barboza, legend of the sport, isn't the same guy he was at 155, but still a good fighter. And Bryce Mitchell knocked him down and dominated him for 3 rounds. And they wanted to have him do the same against Ilia Topuria. Like they wanted Ilia Topuria to fight Edson Barboza. Pretty sure Edson pulled out, which is good, because I didn't want to see him or get knocked out or get dominated again. Just wouldn't make me happy. Would make no sense as well, because Ilia Topuria, he's uncomfortable. Edson, he just wants fun fights, so it would make sense in my opinion. But he knocked out Jay Herbert. Like he killed Jay Herbert, man. That was some knockout. Like pretty sure he got knocked down in the first round by a head kick. Like came back and knocked out Jay Herbert in the second round. Great fight. KO'd Ryan Hall. KO'd Damon Jackson and beat Yusuf Zalal. Pretty sure it was pretty dominant. So he's a good guy as well. He's faced pretty good competition as well, because Damon Jackson is good. Ryan Hall is good, and Jay Herbert is good as well, like upper weight class as well. So this is a hard fight to predict. Bryce Mitchell is taller. He's a bit lankier. He's 5'10", has 1 inch reach advantage against Ilia Topuria, but Ilia, he's shorter, but he's kind of built like Volkanovski. He's thick, he's big, he's strong, he has power as well. He's Georgian and Spanish, but he has good grappling. He's real good with his BJJ. He has great boxing as well. While Bryce Mitchell's more a BJJ wrestling kind of guy with a pretty good cardio. He got a bit tired against Andre Fili, but in the fight against Barboza, he did pretty well. Well, Ilia Topuria, he kind of did gas against Yusuf Zalal, if I remember right, but that fight was on short notice, so we kind of have to forgive him for that one. He has a lot of power, great BJJ, pretty good wrestling as well, but I'd say the wrestling, I favor Bryce Mitchell on the wrestling, and the BJJ, I don't know, because Ilia hasn't really showed us a lot of his BJJ. He's good, don't get me wrong, but he hasn't really showed us, so I can't really tell who's a better guy. But definitely a close fight. In the striking, Ilia is the much better guy. He has got much more power. He has the better boxing for sure, while Bryce Mitchell, he's like kind of like Khabib, to be honest. He like jabs, maybe a 1-2, and then just goes right for the takedowns. He isn't the guy that will stand with you for a prolonged period of time. Well, Ilya, he is really only showed us his boxing, which is good. But I don't know how good his grappling is in MMA. He has showed us some grappling against Yusuf Zalal, but that was 2 years ago, and Yusuf Zalal isn't Bryce Mitchell, so we have no idea how good it is against better competition. But here, I have to go with Ilya Topuria. I feel like he's a much better striker. I think that he has enough takedown defense to, to hold his own and stand on the feet for a prolonged period of time. I feel like Bryce Mitchell would be able to take him down like once or twice in the first round, but after that, Bryce Mitchell, I don't know. He is a chain wrestler, but I feel like after a few knees, after a few shots to the body, because Ilya is good with those two, Bryce Mitchell will be discouraged to get the takedowns and just try and stand with Ilya, which will result in a knockout in my opinion. Ilya will beat Bryce Mitchell by KO in the second round. I'm predicting a shot to the body and then like an overhand to the head, which knocks him out. And yeah, this fight is, like I said, this fight is real close. It's a good fight, and yeah, 55 to 45%. I feel like Bryce Mitchell will be the guy who will be going for the takedowns, and he will be successful with them. Don't get me wrong; like he'll get a few takedowns for sure. But I feel like Ilya will be able to stand up, disengage and just beat him up on the feet. Maybe a decision, but I think that it's going to be a KO. Then we got Edmen Shahbazyan versus Dacia Lungiambula. This is a good fight as well. Let's see, Edmen Shahbazyan 3-fight losing streak before he beat Brett Tavares. That was some KO, man. Like it was a 1-2 that hurt Brett Tavares, then some punches and a high kick to finish it off. After that, he got dominated by Derek Brunson, got beat by Jack Hermanson, and then got beat by Nasruddin Imavov, where he got dominated as well. Man, Edmen is still only 25 years old, but he's taken some damage, man, in the last few fights. He's got the power, he's got the striking, but man, the cardio just isn't there, man. Like he was beating Jack Hermanson pretty comfortably in the first round, but after that he just got tired and then got taken down over and over again. And now Dacia Lungiambula, he should be able to take down Edmen Shahbazyan a few times, because that man is strong, man. That man is fucking huge. He's strong. He's ripped. He's 5'8", but man, he's powerful and big. He did get knocked out by Punahele Soriano, and before that guillotined and then beat by Andre Barrio. He was beating the shit out of Cody Bronish, by the way, before he got subbed. His last win was Marcus Perez in a decision, which he dominated by wrestling and stuff, which kind of surprised me. But before that, he got beat by Magomed Ankalaev, and then he went to middleweight. But man, Edmen Shahbazyan, he's a great striker. He is a guy to look out for, because he's got the power, man, but he doesn't have the cardio. I don't know how he would deal with a guy with Dacia Lungiambula, because Dacia, he's like a powerful guy with a good wrestling as well. So I feel like Dacia will try to take down Edmen. And this, I really don't want to say this, but I feel like Dacia could win this fight, because he's strong. Like Edmen Shahbazyan is strong too. He's a good wrestler and he's a good striker, but after the first round he just gets tired, man. And if there's like a big, strong wrestler who can take down Edmen, I feel like that should be Dacia Lungiambula. And in the first round, he might take him down, and then in the second as well. And then Edmen tires, man. And I'm just scared. I mean, I'm still going with Edmen, don't get me wrong. Edmen, he's like the much better fighter here. He is much slicker on the feet. He's much faster. He's just a better kickboxer. But the wrestling, the grappling isn't there, especially after the second or third round. So I'm scared. It's a 50-50 fight for me, or 60-40 for Edmen, I'd say. But still, it's close. I'm scared for Edmen, because I do really like the guy. He's the golden boy. He's Armenian. He's good. but I don't see him getting into the top 15, especially when I'm not with the cardio problems right now. So I'm going with Edmund. I'm going with him maybe by KO, because if he just lands one, it's over. But I'm going with a second round KO for Edmund Shabazian after Dacha has some success, but then tires himself, because he's very big and muscular, which those guys tend to tire a lot. So let's see. 92% for Shabazian. I do not agree with that whatsoever, because Edmund is definitely the better fighter here, but Dacha, man, he's strong, and he could just take down Edmund, control him in the first, and then after that Edmund tires, because he does tire. So 92% is crazy to me. I'd say it's more like 60-65% for Edmund, but definitely rooting for him for sure. Then we got Billy Quarantillo versus Alex Hernandez. That's a close fight too. Pretty sure this is at featherweight. No, yeah, this is at featherweight. I don't like that for Hernandez, because he's pretty big at lightweight. I don't know how he will make 145, but yeah, I'm going with Billy Quarantillo. He lost his last fight against Shane Burgos, but that was a fucking war, man. If you haven't seen that fight is a war. Maybe fight of the year after Justin Gaethje against what's his name, Chandler. It was on the same card, by the way. Great fucking card. He KO'd Benitez, got beat by Tucker, but I feel like he has great cardio. He has pretty good striking, pretty good wrestling, more of an all-round kind of guy. So is Hernandez, but I feel like the cut was too much for Hernandez. I don't know why he's cutting to 145. I don't know if he'll make it. I mean, he probably will, but he's going to be drained, and I feel like Billy will take advantage of that, because Billy has great cardio, big volume, and he will just beat Billy Quarantillo that way. You got Eric Silva versus TJ Brown. Eric Silva, great grappler, very good on the ground. He's alright on the feet. TJ Brown, alright on the feet. More of a wrestler, but I feel like Eric Silva will dominate him and get a submission in the first or second round. Then you got Jorginho Rozenstruik versus Chris Daukaus. Now this fight I really want to highlight. Jorginho Rozenstruik, Biggie Boy, versus Chris Daukaus, my brother's keeper. Maybe the worst tattoo of all time in MMA. But yeah, we've seen that Chris Daukaus, he's good against guys who don't have a lot of power, who are more like wrestlers and grapplers. But when he faces guys with power like Derek Lewis and Curtis Blades, he gets knocked out. And Jorginho Rozenstruik can throw bombs. Maybe even more powerful than Derek Lewis. Probably not, but he has big power, man. The way he KO'd Andrei Arlovski, the way he KO'd what's his name, Overeem, the way he KO'd Augusto Sakai, that man has power. He throws bombs, and he should be able to knock out Chris Daukaus as well, in my opinion. It's going to be a close fight. Maybe in the first 2 minutes, Chris Daukaus will land some low kicks, some jabs, but I feel like after the 3-4 minute mark, Jorginho will just throw a combo and knock out Chris Daukaus, because Chris is a small heavyweight with chin isn't amazing, so I feel like Jorginho should be able to knock his ass out. Then we got Chris Curtis from Joaquin Buckley, two middleweights who should be fighting at welterweight, in my opinion. Not the biggest guys, both are 5'10", both are pretty jacked, but I feel like they could easily make 170. Chris Curtis is 35 already, while Joaquin Buckley is 28. So Buckley should have an easier time making 170. But this fight is at middleweight. Joaquin is very explosive. He did pretty well against Nasruddin Imavov after the second round. He beat he beat Imavov in the third. He beat Imavov in some parts of the second round as well. He lost by decision, but he did pretty well in France. While Chris Curtis, he got pretty much dominated by Jack Hermanson. And I feel like Joaquin Buckley is just the guy with better wrestling. He's a much more explosive guy. He's the guy with more power as well, probably. Chris Curtis, he's good. He's strong. He has amazing takedown defense, but I feel like he won't be able to match the output and the pace and the speed of Joaquin Buckley. So I'm going with Joaquin Buckley to win by decision. Then we got Daniel da Silva versus Vinicius Salvador. No idea who Vinicius Salvador is. His last fight was against Shannon Ross, which he won by KO. I don't really watch the Contender Series, but I am not too high on Daniel da Silva. He has lost 3 fights. He lost by KO against Victor Altimariano. So at that point, he's like amazing. He gets tired very quickly. After the first round, it's done. So I'm going with Vinicius Salvador because it's better to pick a guy you don't know than pick a guy you know but who's bad. So yeah, let's move on. Jay Perrin versus Raul Rosas Jr. Raul Rosas is the 17-year-old who is 18 right now, but he was the guy who got the win on the Contender Series. He's 6-0 right now. He's fighting Jay Perrin. It's a good matchup for Raul. The UFC did a good job matching him up with a guy who isn't a good grappler. He's an alright striker. He had some fun fights against Ari Quileng and Mario Bautista, but he got dominated by Bautista on the ground, and I feel like Raul Rosas should do the same to him and beat him by let's see, by decision. Yeah, I'd say decision because most of his losses, like half at least, are by decision. So I feel like Raul Rosas would just dominate him for 15 minutes and get a 30-27 win. Then we got Owen St. Preux versus Antonio Troccoli. Originally, Owen St. Preux should have fought Gustafsson, but now Gustafsson was out, and now they got Troccoli Malvado. Neck crank. He's a weird guy. His last win was a year ago, but before that he had a neck crank win 3 years ago in the Contender Series, which was a no contest, I guess, probably because he was juicing. Before that, some wins against not the most amazing competition, and then he got retired by Marcelo Barboza, who was 7-3. So, not the highest levels of competition, but he's big, 6'5", 82 reach. He is a big guy. He fought at 200 pounds, but okay. I mean, he will probably beat Owen St. Preux because Owen St. Preux looked fucking terrible against Mauricio who won, and that was one of the worst fights I've ever seen. That fight was so bad. Like before that, he got KO'd by Tanner Boser, got KO'd by Jamal Hill, won against Alonzo Medifield, and lost against Ben Rothwell. So yeah, OSP isn't looking too good in his last few fights. He's 40 at this point, but he looks so bad against Mauricio Hua. I can't pick him, man. I mean, against any normal guy who has some power or who has, some good takedowns, I feel like he'll lose. And he seems like a good grappler, so I'm going with him, with Antonio Troccoli, or I don't know how to pronounce his name, but I feel like he will win. Wait, let's see what the fans are saying, though. I am kind of 61% going with St. Preux, but yeah. See, he got tested positive for steroids, so he's probably still on the steroids as well, which will help him against OSP because OSP is bad. Like at this point, he's so old, he's bad. It's impossible to pick him. And now we got Cameron Simon versus Stephen Koslow, 2 newcomers into the UFC. I haven't seen them. Probably Contender Series, both of them. No. Let's see. Cameron Simon, Contender Series, won by a KO, left hook, decision, KO, submission, KO. So this guy's a finisher. He got 4 finishes already in his last 5. He's 22 almost, bantamweight. I have to be honest here, guys. I have no idea who these guys are, to be honest. But I did see this. Steven Costello, he's the guy with a long ass nickname, with a weird ass nickname. Obi-Wan Shinobi the Pillow. Come on, man. Bruce Buffer ain't saying all that, bro. Come on. Let's look at his fights, though. 0-0 against 0-2, against 0-0, 2-7, 6-8, 1-1, and 4-4. Not the greatest level of competition. Pretty bad, to be honest. Let's see. 0-2, 0-2, 4-3, 4-4, 8-7, 5-1. I mean, kind of the same, to be honest, but this one is young. He has fought 6 times in 3 years, which I do like to see. He's pretty active. And, you know, the same could be said for Kozlov. But I'll go with Cameron Simon, because he did fight a guy who was 5-1 in his last fight in the Contender Series. Steven Kozlov is a guy they just brought in to, short notice. They brought him in because they needed to fill a fight, and Cameron Simon wanted the fight. So I'm going with Cameron. Let's see what the fans are saying. Yeah, 86% are going with Simon by KO. Yeah, I have to agree. I don't know both guys, to be honest, but Simon will probably win this fight. So yeah, guys, that was it. UFC 282, Jan Blachowicz versus Magomed Ankalaev. Thank you guys for watching. If you have any feedback, if you have any comments, just let me know down below. And thank you guys.